And just like that, we are live for the first time ever on Paranormal Nightshift. Andy, how are you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic tonight. I am stoked about this being the very first live stream that we are doing on Paranormal Nightshift everywhere.
Everywhere. And it really is one of those things. Thank you guys for being a part of the first one that we've done. So Paranormal Nightshift is near and dear to my heart. I've been doing Night Shift for the better half of 2 decades. And if you follow me on other socials, you'll understand that that's what I am. According to my heavyweight title back there, I'm the king of Night Shift. And I made a comment a while back. It's been about 3 months now. I made a comment about there are things that go bump in the night, and us on Night Shift, we just don't talk about it.
Right.
And I think, truthfully, with the paranormal, it's one of those things that people don't feel comfortable until you feel comfortable with them. Because there's so much scrutiny behind it, right? There's so much... People have their own opinions. For whatever their belief system is, whatever they may or may not have seen, and mostly they don't want to be called crazy, right? You know, anytime you talk about ghost or paranormal or UFOs or Bigfoots, it always brings some sort of stigma behind it, right? Like, oh, it's old Billy Joe standing in the farm, and the local news always grabs that guy, just old Billy Joe standing in the farm. So I think with what has happened with Paranormal Nightshift, with it being fan-based stories, I openly admit, I don't go and investigate. Andy and I are not paranormal investigators, nor will we ever be paranormal investigators. And it's not because we're not interested in it. It's because we come at it not as a skeptic and not as a believer. I come at it with the idea that I want to hear your story. I'm a firm believer with Bigfoot and with ghost and with paranormal stuff and aliens and UFOs, all of it, that so many people have seen things. You mean to tell me that for centuries now, people have just been making up stories? It doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Oh, I know it. I completely agree.
And there's stories that bond so many people together. There's stories that everybody has. One of my favorite stories is the one I'm about to tell, and it's a story dealing with a topic that so many people are uncomfortable with. But what's your belief in Ouija boards, Andy?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Those things are creepy. Dude, when I say creepy, I don't mess with them. Yep,
I don't mess with them. Mm-mm. I think there's certain things that you ought not meddle with. And this story was sent in from Travis, and is one of my favorite stories that I've ever heard. So Travis was a military kid. And you know, military kids, if you've ever been one, if you've ever had a family in the military, you bounce around a lot. And this was in the early 90s. So Travis rebelled against his dad a lot because his dad was a military kid. So his dad was in the military, but this was the first time that Travis was going to stay somewhere for a long time. You know, after years of bouncing around and being a high school student, this was the first time that his senior year, he was actually going to stay at a school. 24-month contract. That's what his dad had signed. His dad had signed a 24-month contract. So, and his dad wasn't a neglectful dad. His dad wanted Travis to be happy. He embraced Travis's goth lifestyle. So they went to the mall, they bought him some clothes, and Travis started a new school and instantaneously, you know, started making friends. There was a lot of people there that were like him, that were into that goth and dark lifestyle. He met his friend Kai, and he met his sister Skylar, and the two of them hit it off. You know, being a 16-year-old boy, he automatically fell in love with this beautiful goth girl. They started hanging out all the time. So Halloween night, Travis was absolutely impressed that his dad was just going to let him spend the night there. Like, yeah, go hang out with your friends. It's okay that his sister is going to be there too. It's a party. Go have fun. Well, this meant that Travis got to spend the whole night with his girlfriend and his best friend, and fingers crossed, Travis was hoping for something. What Travis failed to tell his dad was there weren't going to be parents involved. There was going to be a hippy-dippy grandma, but that's about it. So anything goes. Being goth kids and just having fun on Halloween, they decided that they were going to do something spooky. They were going to contact something. They were going to play with a Ouija board. So, Travis and all his friends went down into the basement. They start playing a Ouija board, and they contacted something. And it was very interested in Travis. Now, Travis didn't really believe in all of this. He didn't really believe in it. It was all fun. But his girlfriend really believed in it. The Ouija board started spelling things out. And it started spelling Travis's name. Guys, I don't think this is really cool anymore. I don't really... This isn't cool. You guys are just playing with me. Leave it alone. No, Travis's girlfriend said. It's contacted you. It's chosen you. That's what I'm talking about. I don't want to play this game anymore. But the girl was so involved in it. They wanted so much to happen. They wanted to contact something. Travis asked what it wanted. And this board and the planchette on the board started to move, and it said, sacrifice. Guys, I don't want to play this game anymore. No, let's listen to it. No, I don't want to play the game anymore. Travis grabbed the board and the planchette, and he ran outside. See, earlier they had started a bonfire. So Travis said he was going to destroy it. It was evil. He threw the Ouija board and the planchette into the bonfire, and it burned a weird color. He was happy. It felt finally like it was over. When he turned around, all of his friends were pale and pasty. They knew the rules of the Ouija board. You have to close the session, Travis. It's still attached to you. You never told it goodbye. You never closed the session. That's the number one rule with Ouija boards. If you contact something, you have to close the session. Otherwise, whatever you contacted has no way to go forward or no way to go back. That was all 20 years ago, though. Travis actually ended up embracing his dad's military culture a little bit more. He cut his hair, got rid of his black highlights. He actually went to college, joined the military himself, and was doing pretty well for himself. Had a couple kids, settled down, and forgot all about Ouija boards. Until recently. See, Travis had a big barbecue at his house. He had kids of his own now. And his daughter, his youngest daughter, comes running down the hallway. Daddy, the big kids are doing something bad. The big kids are doing something wrong. What? Travis ran upstairs and saw that they were playing with a Ouija board. He turned red. As any dad would. He overreacted. He grabbed the Ouija board, threw it, screamed at his kids, I can't believe that you guys would be doing this in my house. I've told you so many times not to mess with these things. They are evil. Travis had to be a dad. He finally cooled down. I overreacted. My kids didn't deserve me yelling at them. I don't know why I got so angry. That's when he noticed the planchette on the Ouija board begin to move. Hello, Travis. We've missed you. That's where Travis's story ends. And it's one of my favorite stories. But tell me, all of our listeners here, tell me, what is your beliefs in Ouija boards? Do you believe that there are things that you can contact? That's one of my absolute favorite stories. It's the one that started this Paranormal Nightshift journey with me, because that was the first one I had ever sent.
Dude, that story is creepy. And just the whole foundation of it, like, oh my goodness, dude. I mean, I don't know about you, but like, if I was that dad, well, for one, I've changed my drawers. Just be perfectly blunt.
Absolutely.
So like that would straight up. Wow. You want to talk about it, dude? That would scare the living. That would scare me to like. Yeah, no.
And there's so many of those stories out there. One of my favorite people to listen to is Coast to Coast. Coast to Coast does a lot of the things that I feel like I want to bring to Paranormal Nightshift, to where Art Bell and George Norrie, they've never been skeptical. They ask plenty of questions, but they've never been skeptical. And for a man like Art Bell, who has investigated and has seen and heard so many stories, he has a Ouija board story that he's never told. He said he messed with them one time, and that was the only time that he would ever mess with them. Now, and I believe that, you know, you bring in the energy that you want to bring in, but
yep. Dude, that story right there, that's definitely a scary one. And dude, like, just be the kind of I don't forget where I was going at with it, but to kind of reiterate it, the thing that I like, dude, this is 100% fan submitted story.
Exactly. And that's what I love about Paranormal Nightshift is these aren't me grabbing movies or anything like that and just trying to make you guys. These are fan submitted stories. Like that one and the one that I'm about to tell are ones that just truly make you think. Like, I mean, that's a well formatted story, and it's got to be one of those things. I think, you know, it's one of the Ouija boards is one of the ones that I think for so many people growing up the way that you and I grew up with, you know, with a Christian background and things like that, you don't meddle with demons. Every good has to have a bad. That's the reason that there is these things. So the idea that, yes, maybe it can come across friendly, but it also isn't. You invite it in because it is what it is. It's mimicking what you want it to believe. Mm-hmm. And the concept of mimics is something that I totally enjoy too, which brings me to my second story for tonight. Have you ever heard, you see it all the time nowadays, especially on social media, who's your celebrity doppelganger? Who's your celebrity to get doppelganger? You see it all the time. People go, oh, you look just like that guy. Or you look just like this girl.
I get Kevin James from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially back when I was clean shaven.
Oh, when I was clean shaven, I got Chris Farley all the time. But yeah, when I was clean shaven, I got Chris Farley all the time. Always had a baby face until I grew the beard. But doppelgangers is one of those things that so many people talk about, and you know, there's a whole culture of it being what it is now. But what would you do if there was two yous? How would you know which one is the right one? How would you know who to believe? If you came into your house and saw two of something, or saw somebody there who wasn't supposed to be there, how do you know which one's right? How do you know who to believe?
That's a good question.
And it's a question that was asked in this story. This story was submitted anonymously, and after I tell it to you, you'll understand why. But we're going to call him Kevin for the story. Just because you said Kevin, we're going to call him Kevin. Kevin was a maintenance man. Kevin was a maintenance man in a metal refinery. And one of those things to where, as a maintenance man, there are things that sometimes just happen. I mean, I've been in the blue collar world my entire life. Bad things happen real quick. And sometimes in order for you to handle bad things, you have to bypass certain safety procedures, but there's certain things that you never don't do. There was a CO2 alarm going off, like a underground pressure alarm. And in the metal refinery, if you're melting something like titanium, where it's being cooled by water, those two things don't mix all too terribly well. It can make a very dangerous combination. I know at a metal refinery down the house where I live, they had a blow up a couple years ago, and they call it a pressure release. They had a pressure release a couple of years ago. It blew the windows out in the hospital that was 2 miles away. It is a big deal. It is a dangerous deal. Kevin came across in his story and said they had a situation where it needed his assistance. Pressure release. He was the only one that could keep everybody safe in this situation. Management came across the radio, said, "We got to go now. Like, go get your stuff on. We have to go now." Kevin runs and puts on his equipment. His boss comes in there. "Don't worry about the equipment. We have to go now." Well, it was never like his boss to say, don't put on your safety equipment, especially in a life or death situation. Why would you ever bypass your safety equipment? But Kevin didn't have time to think about that. Kevin grabbed his stuff and ran and started going down into this hole where the danger was. That was Kevin's job. But as Kevin is standing there with his supervisor going down in the hole, his radio goes off. "Hey, Kev, what are you doing, man?" "I'm going down in the hole." "Kev, what are you doing?" "Going down here." Kevin heard a familiar voice, but was seeing someone as well. His supervisor was coming over his radio, but his supervisor was standing right there. "Boss man, I'm standing right in front of you." No, you're not, Kev. You're not standing in front of me. I've not left the locker room. I'm looking for you in the locker room." When Kevin looked up again at the man that was standing in front of him, and that man just smiled and disappeared. Later to come find out that there was a CO2 alarm, and that if Kevin went down there, he would have passed out almost instantaneously. Would have found himself in a situation where nobody would have been able to get him out. Now, nobody on the cameras saw what Kevin saw. They just saw Kevin, but Kevin knew clear as day that he was speaking to his supervisor. No stories of ghosts or anything like that, but whatever was sending him down into the danger looked just like somebody he realized and somebody that he knew.
That's creepy. And just to think that you're being led by something that just looks so familiar, then that also makes you kind of wonder what's real and what's fake in life.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
that is crazy.
And there's so many of these doppelganger stories out there that have changed the way that I think a lot of people do. I mean, it's become the whole concepts of movies, and you see it in cartoons all the time, but what is it? It looks like somebody you know. It sounds like somebody you know. But it's not somebody you know. What is it? Is it evil? Is this one clearly wanted to hurt Kevin and his people? So I don't know. I love getting these stories. We've had other ones where husbands see their wives at the house and then come to find out that their wife's still at work. We've had a story sent in where a lady had called out of work to spend time with her family, and then was seen at work, but she's hanging out with her family. Mimics, whatever they might be. How do you know in these situations who you're actually dealing with, which one's the right one? There's a story coming down the pipe because I know we're getting close to spooky season. There's a story that is currently sitting on my desk and waiting about a doppelganger encounter that turned a little bit physical. Ooh. And what happened? How do you know? So there's some weird stories out there, man. And it's one of those things that, again, one or two, maybe. But as many as we receive, as many as other podcasts receive, there's got to be something to it. And I want to know.
Oh, yeah. But I completely agree. Like, there has to be something to it.
Absolutely.
like there's way too many stories out there. Like, I mean, Graeson, of course, whenever all the stories come in, we both see them. And then like whenever the people send us pictures, people send us videos, whenever all those things come in, like you and I, we both look at it. And like, whenever it comes to them all, we're like, this is creepy.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things for me that, like, how do you know what is there? And so much folklore behind all of them that it brings it begs the question, what have you dealt with and what have you seen? And not all paranormal stories have to be scary. Some of them are actually really sweet. And being night shift, I hear a lot of great stories from nurses and CNAs and law enforcement, and some of them are really, really sweet. I think it does open that veil to, if we accept the idea that there are angels, then we have to accept the idea that there's demons. And if we have had these ideas that your loved ones can come visit you, then we have to accept the idea that maybe there's something else that doesn't mean you well.
Yeah.
We have time for one more story. Since this is our first one, we're gonna knock out one more story. I got time for one more, and it talks about that, and this one I'm gonna leave you on because this is one we told this week that I absolutely love, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. It really kind of started making me think of something. So this came from a hospice nurse and was absolutely a gorgeous story, but there was an old woman who everybody knew her time was near. Her time was near. The family had been there for days, in and out. She's been in and out of consciousness. She's getting close to the end. You don't go into hospice care, and hospice nurses have a very special place in my heart. They're some of the sweetest, nicest people you'll ever meet. Hospice care is a wonderful thing. Palliative care is a wonderful thing. It lets people go in peace. It lets people go with dignity. And it's beautiful, and they can go with the family, and it's beautiful. This lady had been in hospice care for the better half of 2 weeks now, been back and forth and in intensive care, and things were happening. And the story came in from a son-in-law. It was her son-in-law, but she was passing, and it just was one of those things where he knew as a husband, his wife just had to take a break. Just take a break. Like, I'm going to hang out here with grandma. Go take a break. So the hospice nurse left. He left, and he's just sitting there with grandma. He hears a knock at the door. And this young man comes in, says he needs to speak with Eleanor. That was the lady's name. I need to speak with Eleanor. It's going to be a couple minutes. Well, he didn't really quite understand why a younger man in his 20s would need to come and talk to Eleanor. The family had been in and out most of the day. But respectfully, he gave the man his time. He stood outside and waited until until the young man came out. But the young man came out with a younger lady. A young man and a young lady exited. He didn't see the young lady go in, just the young man. But he didn't think anything about it.
Yeah.
He walked back in, and she was still there. Eleanor was still there. Who was that young man and lady? Well, the lady was me, Eleanor said. What? The lady was me. The young man was Edgar, my first husband. He passed away tragically in Vietnam. We were only married for a short period of time. But he passed away. I started a whole nother family. I remarried. I started a family. But he was my first love. And you don't understand. I will always have a part for him in my heart. And he came to collect his part. That part of him in heaven deserves to be with me, but that's the part of me that he knows. And that's the part of her soul that went with him.
Wow.
And it really, that's a beautiful story. It's one of those ones that you think of things like that. Like, what does happen? First husband passes away. First wife passes away. Mm-hmm. And you remarry, have other kids. Like, it begs that question. What happens after that? what do? You remarry, your life continues, that person's life doesn't. And I love that story because it really does give a sense of peace of maybe you split it. Maybe there are parts of you that belong to other people. I love that story. And it's one that always makes me think. It's one that always makes me think. And it's one that I really enjoy telling and hearing. And you, all of your stories, guys, we truly enjoy getting all of your story. So please continue to send them in and support the page. Understand we're on this one, that one. We can say YouTube, right?
Yeah, so we're literally everywhere. We're on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, like everywhere. And another thing is we're actually in the process of building up a way of where you're able to get daily stories sent straight to your email. Like Absolutely. Straight to your email. We're in the process of setting it up, and make sure you stay tuned. And it's over at paranormalnightshift.com.
Exactly.
Go there, you can sign up, and you'll get daily stories, and also you'll end up finding out exactly when we go live.
And we hope you guys enjoyed this live. I understand it's short, and it was a little short notice on our end. We want to start scheduling them out to where the most of you guys are going to be here with us. Want to have conversations with you guys about the paranormal topics that you want us to discuss. And this is kind of the way I want to format it. What I'm hoping to do is do 2 or 3 stories, fan stories that will only be told on the lives. I got a lot of really quick hit stories, a lot of ones that don't have a lot of detail to them, but are ones that you guys have sent to me that deserve to be told. They're beautiful stories. They're scary stories. And a lot of them, like the one I told to begin with, are open-ended stories. They don't have a conclusion. Right. You don't know what happens with the doppelgangers. You don't know what happens with Ouija boards. You don't know. And I like talking about it. And again, they don't always have to be scary. So I hope you guys absolutely love them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode.
Yeah, this is the first live show, not first episode.
Yes.
Are we only doing... No, we are doing... It doesn't matter where the story comes from.
Yeah. And they don't have to be night shift stories either. So.
No. Like, ghost stories are ghost stories. And I'll say, paranormal stories are paranormal stories. Like, they're all amazing, and we want to hear them. Like, we want the stories.
I want the story.
We want to be able to tell them.
And I love the UFO stuff. I love the paranormal stuff. Clearly, I have Bigfoot behind me. If you guys go check out the playlist, we have somewhere in the range of 70 to 80 some odd stories up right now.
Yeah, right now we're at 71, 72 on the podcast. Which, by the way, just a small heads up, the podcast is several stories ahead of everywhere else.
Right.
The podcast, it goes to the podcast first. So you can tune into the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere and everywhere you listen to podcasts. It goes there first.
Exactly.
And then it trickles down to everywhere else. So if you want to get your fix of Paranormal Night Shift, make sure you tune into the podcast as we upload daily on the podcast. And we are about to start uploading more than just one a day.
Yes. More and more stories are coming. And some of the things that I want you guys to do with the interactive part of the pages and things like that, we're going to do a scary movie countdown. So with it being spooky season, Andy and I both have little ones running around. There's only so many scary movies that I can watch. So I'm trying to come up with a best scary movies to get your kids to watch. The best one I found so far is Gremlins. I forgot all about Gremlins.
Those are good movies.
It's a great movie, and little man loves it. And it's not just like, I don't want Disney Channel crazy Happy Halloween Town, things like that.
Yeah.
Like, Hocus Pocus is a good movie. It's a scary movie. I hadn't seen the second one, but Gremlins is a fun one to watch with the kids. I love a good psychological thriller. Sometimes it doesn't have to be Jason running around. It doesn't have to be Jason or Freddy running around for it to be scary.
Right.
The Shining and The Exorcist are two of the scariest movies ever made. So, absolutely, love doing all of them. So, guys, this was really fun, and I hope you guys do it. To submit a story, go to paranormalnightshift.com.
Yes.
Paranormalnightshift.com is the website. It'll take you to us. Make sure you're following us on all the socials.
Which we have all that right down at the bottom of the page. So when you go to paranormalnightshift.com, you scroll all the way to the bottom. We have where you can find Graeson, you have where you can find me, and you have where you can find Paranormal Nightshift.
Yes, and they're all good. And I've got stories from the UK, I've got stories from Australia, I've got all sorts of different ones. So they're everywhere. And this was our first live show.
Yes.
Definitely go check out the playlist. And I look forward to people like Robbie out here saying he submitted a story. It's fun. What is this? Leslie, Charlie. I've got Zach over here saying he's submitted a couple stories. Wendy, all of you guys, thank you guys for jumping on here and being, being a part of the first live that we've done doing Paranormal Night Shift. And there's more to come. I know we're going to have a lot of new stories.
Oh yeah. And we're also about to have a merch line as well, but that's coming up very soon.
Tyler,
we have had people wanting t-shirts and hoodies.
Yes, we have had a lot of people asking for t-shirts and hoodies, and we do have the stickers. The stickers are there. Stickers are already up now, but definitely, and if you're enjoying this and you want to do this and you want to see more of it, this will be my quick push. Go sign up to skip ads and things like that. We do have a podcast as well. You can support the podcast, more stories. We will be in Savannah here soon. I know that we're going to
weekend of October 6th. We will be in Savannah, Georgia.
We're going to be in Savannah. I know we're going to try to do a live show out of Savannah. A lot of cool stuff coming up with spooky season only being 3 or 4 days away now. I'm trying to do night shift math. I know all of October it's going to be there.
Yep.
So it's going to be
But over on the podcast platforms, you can go ad-free because we do have that available and it's offered. And it's actually pretty awesome. And it's all for less than a latte a month. So
less than a latte a month.
Yeah. For less than a latte a month, you can listen to Paranormal Night Shift completely ad-free.
Less than a latte a month.
Yep.
That's nice. Less than a latte a month.
Yep. But with that being said, got any last words for our first live show?
For our very first live show, I wish I had a good sign off. Everything that I have, I feel like is very very like Walter Cronkite, like not scary yet. So I'm gonna come up with a good tagline. See, because I always just in the videos, I always just in the story. I never get to come back. But pretty much with this one being the first one, and to have 30 of you guys on here hanging out with us, and
dude, we had a lot more.
Yeah, we had a lot more, and I see all the people over here as well. Like people on the magical TikTok world, people on the magical Facebook world and YouTube world. If you guys are digging this, understand we're two guys. We two creators that have our own stuff that we're doing as well. This is just absolutely fun and a way for us to really talk about stuff that that's what I love about the paranormal. It's very niche. It's a very small community, but when you find your people who are just as crazy as you are, it's really fun. UFO stories are coming here soon. I know you're a truck driver, Andy. So I've got some lost time stories. I got some alien abduction stories. I can't wait to get with a lot more of the Night Shift nurse stories. And a lot of them are up already. 71 episodes are up already on the podcast. Go binge it. Go listen to it. Jump in our comments when you see us put stuff up on Facebook. The reels are up on Facebook. It leads you over to our YouTube page to where you can watch full episodes.
Yep.
Watch the full episodes and tell us what you think. Like, tell us what stories you want to hear. Andy is doing an amazing job doing the reaction videos to the scary stuff you guys send us and the scary videos you guys see us. Some of these Ring doorbell videos are absolutely horrifying.
Yes.
So these are absolutely awesome.
But with that being said, we will see y'all on the next live show.
Bye.
All right. Y'all have a good one, y'all. We'll see y'all on the next live show.